What's up, everybody? It's the Fake Jake here, bringing you episode 3 of the Four Corners podcast, here with my host, Clam79.
Hey, climb it up.
Yep, so hopefully we can wrap up all of our nice topics about movies, TV shows, games, comics, all in a clamshell. Haha, I stole your joke.
There we go. And just to let everybody know, we do now have the podcast available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and we're looking to get it out here on more platforms. I'd like to give a free shout out to Buzzsprout.com for providing an easy platform for new podcasters to get up and started on.
And we've actually been putting the podcast up on YouTube as well. We're going to be doing that later in the week. We've been seeing a lot of good responses from our new reaction videos, so I'm looking to continue those. I've got some plans as far as what those could turn into, and if you want to check any of those out, they can be found at youtube.com/thefakejake, or just directly going to YouTube and going to my page. You can find them there either way. So I think with all that said, we should just jump straight into the comics section. This is not YouTube. With the return of the first family of Marvel, the Fantastic Four. You want to jump us into that, Clam?
Sure, definitely. Went through and read episodes, so used to the podcast now, issues 1 and 2 of Fantastic Four. And there was a lot of buzz about their return. Fantastic Four has been gone for a while, essentially. Disney couldn't get the rights. Disney and Marvel couldn't get the rights to be able to bring them into the movie universe, so Marvel said, you know what, do away with the Fantastic Four.
They really tried for a while. You have to give them that. They were fighting that battle for a long time.
They have. Reed and Sue have been gone for a while. We've had Ben and Johnny just kind of lingering around while everybody else thought they were gone. And this book it kind of picked up there. Book 1 is a lot of Ben and Johnny, how Ben has pretty much already moved on. Johnny is still kind of desperately grasping for hope. And we get kind of a false alarm early in the book. Somebody actually sets off the old original flare of the Fantastic Four signal displaying over the city.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So Johnny searches and gets to the Baxter building, finds it's, just some Yancy Street kids that have put it off here. But on the way there, you see him getting excited. You see him flying through, telling everybody that we're back. And then, we get to Ben, who's kind of looking down on it. And Alicia Masters is with Ben, and she hears what's going on. She's like, what's going on? And Ben is being a little bit more downtrodden. He's already accepted that they're gone, that they're not coming back.
And so you mentioned, you mentioned Alicia Masters too. One thing that's finally happened in comic books now that a lot of Fantastic Four readers that have been keeping up with this have been waiting for. Ben finally proposes to Alicia Masters, and she accepts. Finally, I'm sure all the Fantastic Four readers have been waiting in bated breath for that, because honestly, the wedding is just, like I said, it's more for the longtime fans to pay homage to the relationship, because if you don't know really a whole lot about Fantastic Four, you're not going to have any idea who Alicia Masters is. And it's not as if they really did her any justice in the movies, so you didn't really get a good taste of her that way.
Very true. Alicia Masters is a longtime girlfriend of Ben Grimm, the Thing. And so they do finally pay this off in this issue. And that actually is what brings, Ben and Johnny together in this issue, as Ben is asking Johnny to be his best man, and Johnny throws a fit and says, no, it has to be Reed Richards.
That's a great interaction, too, because he even turns into Human Torch in that argument and says, there's only one man who deserves to be beside you when you're married. And it was just funny, because if you read some of the earlier Fantastic Four books, or even see Fantastic Four, if you even see Human Torch and Thing in things like games, cartoons, or movies, it seems like they hate each other sometimes, but they just have this cool dynamic where, they're working together and they're joking around with each other half the time, but half the time it seems like they hate each other. And even through all this, Ben still wanted Johnny to be his best man, so it kind of shows you the amount of character growth that these two especially have had over these past couple years.
Sure, they're just like brothers, and they have been for a long time. So after we get their argument here, we actually do finally get a payoff at the end of issue 1 of Fantastic Four, where we get the big four that's not just in the sky, it covers the entire planet. Yep. And that wraps up the first issue, and then we move into the second issue. In the second issue, it jumps right to it. We see We see Ben, we see Sue, we see Franklin, we see Val, we see the Future Foundation. And this one is, it quickly got right back into Fantastic Four book style. This was just like a Future Foundation issue. Not necessarily a, hey, what's been going on? It jumped right back into a normal style of an issue. Going to leave some of this up to you guys. That way you guys can go out here and read it. It's still on the shelves right now, so don't want to give it all away. But it is nice seeing that Marvel has finally brought back emphasis to the Fantastic Four, and this is just, another affirmation or confirmation that the deal with Fox is completed, and they'll be coming over to the MCU in the near future. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Fantastic Four returning.
I agree. It is, and it's kind of funny too because the way that Fantastic Four books used to be, and they were cool to see in the cartoons, and the movies is up to your own opinion. But the comic books at first, they would it was cool to see them in things like Secret Wars and things like that, and Civil War. But just the solo Fantastic Four books would put you to sleep instantly.
Some
So
of them, it really depended on who was reading. Jonathan Hickman's run was amazing,
I
but
agree.
I think that was mainly because of the storytelling that he was providing at that time. The Fantastic Four are the mainstay. They're the old hat. They are, and deservedly
First
so. They're the
family.
seniors. They're the veterans. But their standalone stories are not always the best. It's always better when they're brought in to help solve a problem. To me,
Like it's like they're the rusty old soldiers, kind of.
yeah, that's
It's
one way to put
we're
that.
like the one that's kind of been through it all, and it's just kind of giving the advice to the youngster ones. And like I said, it is pretty exciting to see that them, along with the X Men, are going to be going along into the MCU going forward. But segueing nicely over to that, I think it's actually a good idea that we jump into the TV section now with the potential solo series for Loki and Scarlet Witch being played by their respective MCU actors.
hmm And this is bold. This is going to be brought out on Disney's streaming service, so it's not coming out to a network. They're not selling advertising, not traditionally at least. Disney is looking to launch their own Netflix style product, and they are going to really bet the farm on some of these well known characters and also the Marvel property to be able to really be a hook to bring new subscribers in. This is going to be original content. This is, it's going to be the same actors that are in the movies, so it's unlike, Shield. Okay, it had Coulson in it, and every once
And
in a while, you'd have Nick Fury in there, but it was still really, it felt like the second tier. And this
like it
is
felt like it was connected, like it was all kind of
it felt
intertwined.
like it was connected, but it was just kind of connected because it was convenient. This
Yeah.
feels like these are main characters being brought in and given their own show here. So this is very interesting to see what they're going to do with this. But it shows that Disney is very serious about their streaming service because it's expensive to do a show like this.
And
Um,
they're already forfeiting too. They're trying to put as much premium content on the platform as they can, and they're already putting billions of dollars in profit forward, as well as there's obviously a lot of technology going into this, so they're putting all their chips on one table there. And like Clam said, these projects are expensive. You see how much all of the Star Wars movies cost. That's about $100 million movie right there. And one
or
thing
more,
that
probably
is,
much more to make one of those.
yeah. But you see, with Disney, they have to have a lot of money to spend to make an impression because Netflix and Disney are kind of like rivals, to where I don't know, they're kind of working off of each other because you see most of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are coming onto Netflix. But I feel actually that could very well end with Avengers Infinity War because Black Panther recently came onto Netflix. So I feel that maybe that streak will end, and then the Disney streaming service will kind of come on, and you'll see everything that was on Netflix go into this new service.
Well,
So I
yeah,
mean,
that's actually coming in 2019. 2019, 2020, the partnership between Disney and Netflix is ending. So you'll see the Marvel movies that are on there being pulled off. You'll see the Disney movies being pulled off. You'll see Star Wars being pulled off. All of these IPs that Disney owns, the intellectual properties, they're going to have on their service when they're ready to launch that service US through the US market. They're already testing it in other areas around the globe, but right now they already have some working partnerships with Netflix, contracts that they can't just break. So, I'm sure they'd love to make this jump now, but they have to honor those contracts they already have, and that is why they're waiting till I believe it's 2019, 2020 when their podcast, or not their podcast, but their streaming is going to begin. So this is going to fit right into that area, and no joking. As soon as Disney has their own service, you won't see Netflix.
Nope.
Or you'll see Netflix, but you won't see any Marvel content on there anymore. You won't see Star Wars content on there anymore. You're not going to see your
Not
Disney
even those
kids
anim-
movies on there anymore. So all that's going to move over there.
yeah, not even those Star Wars animated shows will be on there. And it's kind of a funny side note too. I've kind of noticed as this Disney Netflix thing is kind of coming to an end, some of the older Marvel movies that are owned by Fox are actually coming onto Netflix now for whatever reason. I'm just kind of noticing that because I think a week or so ago, Sam Raimi's third Spider-Man movie came onto Netflix just randomly. So I don't know if maybe this means, okay, yay, now that these Marvel Disney movies aren't going to be on here anymore. Maybe that means that some of the older ones can actually see the light of day because you have some of those older ones that are kind of
Well, the
forgotten, for lack of a better term. So
the
maybe,
Raimi movies though are Sony. They're not with Disney. So
well,
that's
yeah,
probably a deal that was already set
that,
up through Sony, seeing that
that's
the Raimi
what I was
content
going to
coming
say.
over.
So maybe that could open the door for some things to come on down the line. And if they were going to try and do this, like we said, the Loki and Scarlet Witch potential solo series, like I said, they're more direct characters than people like Coulson. So this could actually be more closely connected, if that's the right way you say it, to the things that are going on in the movies like Avengers 4 and Captain Marvel. And I think that's actually going to segue nicely into our movies section with the Captain Marvel trailer.
Yes, the trailer was awesome. I loved it.
I
I
really did
was
too.
initially, and I even told you when you first told me they were going to be doing a almost like a not necessarily a prequel, but going into the past to tell her origin. I was like,
It was like a
why?
Captain America First Avenger thing.
It was the timing of it because it was right after Infinity War, and I was like, what? Why are you going to go through and do backstory and try and figure something out there to get this to fit in? But after seeing the preview, I was like, okay, I ate my words. That was a
I
very
told you.
good trailer. You can definitely see how they're not necessarily going back to retcon anything, but how they are fitting her into the existing universe to see how she's there. One of the things I loved is, do you have any idea how many aliases Captain Marvel has had?
There's at least 10.
Right. So we have Ace, 1, Binary, 2, Black Widow, 3, Catherine Donovan, 4, Carol Daniels, 5, Captain Whizbang, 6,
Yep.
Cheeseburger, 7,
Don't ask about that one.
Koroya
Yeah.
Denizlavska, I messed that up, I'm
Then
sorry,
Alaska.
8, Linda Danvers, 9, Major Danvers, 10, Miss Marvel, 11, Warbird, 12, Venom, 13. These
Yep.
are just all the ones that are listed on the Marvel Wiki page.
Yeah, she did have the Venom symbiont at one time. That's right. And one thing I just want to say that the trailer did a really good job of. I've got two things that I kind of took away most from that is when it really did a good job of showing the time period that it was in. Because you see in the beginning of the trailer, she gets knocked into a blockbuster movie store, which, for 90s people out there, that probably brings a goofy grin of nostalgia to your face because Blockbuster isn't around anymore. So that just does a really good job of showing you the time period that it's in.
No, that's hilarious, and I'm so glad that I was not in that store. Yes, I actually used to run a Blockbuster store,
Yeah, you
and I would
did.
have hated to have cleaned up that mess.
That's right. And one thing that they did too, which one thing that they put in the trailer, which I don't think necessarily that they should have done that because it left a lot of people confused. There's a point where she decks an old lady, and us comic people that read Marvel comics and are familiar with it, we know that that's obviously a scroll, but just regular movie watchers who don't have any idea what the scrolls are probably going to look at that and go, she just assaulted an old lady for a random reason. What is she doing?
No, that's a
So
perfect hook. I mean, for the ones of us that saw the scrolls and realized what was going on, yes. For the person that has no idea what's going on, they now want to see why she hit this lady. So it's a perfect hook. I loved how they did it. I loved how they snuck the scrolls in there, so that lets you
yeah,
know that this is going to, what I think they're going to end up doing is the scrolls are going to be getting snuck in through this storyline. And I think eventually they may even do a Secret Invasion storyline, maybe after the next Avengers movie. And
that's
this is
what I'm
how they're
hoping.
introducing them.
That's what I'm hoping that they would do. The only thing that I'm skeptical about with that, you would have to have the right characters lead that Secret Invasion movie because if what Marvel I believe is planning, they're planning on phasing out the Avengers that survived Infinity War. They're planning on phasing some of them out in Avengers 4 because Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. are supposedly at the end of their contracts. So they're if they're going to phase those characters out, they have to have the right characters lead Secret Invasion.
True.
Uh, That's my biggest concern with it because you have I think once obviously some people are going to come back from the snap. So what I'm thinking is going to happen is once some of these older people phase out, I mean, Captain Marvel is a powerful character, so she could probably be
Yes.
up to the Thor level in terms of power, and you would have Black Panther, who would kind of be taking the Cap role as like the leader, and then
You know what? I don't know that she's quite up to the Thor level, but Captain Marvel is a leader. She leads the Ultimate. She's helped lead the Avengers. She's led a whole litany of teams. And
yep,
so that's a good way to bring her in. She's a leader role that can take over if some of these other characters are looking to step down. Um, but we could really get into just a whole conversation about what we think they're going to do with it. We'll save that for another day because we just covered Captain Marvel's trailer here. Trailer was awesome. Loved it. There is a reaction video up on youtube.com/thefakejake, so you can
yep,
see our Captain Marvel reaction trailer there. One last thing we want to bring up in the movies before we move on is this week, Thursday,
Thursday.
September 27th at 7 p.m. Wherever you are at 7 p.m., go to fathomevents.com, look up the event The Transformers 1986. One night only. It's going to be in the theaters. Get your tickets if you want it. This should be out in enough time for you to at least hear it. If you're hearing about it in the past, I'm very sorry that you missed it. But it's awesome, and it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait.
Have the song going through my head already.
Great.
God, I just we've even started watching that back again in preparation for the movie, and I had to say I was skeptical on the series at first, but it really just got me hooked because it shows you. It, you even have your campy cartoon stuff from the '80s, but I
Most of
think
the
the
series
campiness
still
was
ages
was
well.
was part of what I liked. It was one of the ones that aged well, as opposed to several others today. And honestly, if you just look at it, because it's better than anything that the movies have given us. That I think anyone can admit that, unless they've been living under a rock somewhere and have never seen the animated show.
Very much. So, if you're
Yep.
hearing this and you've got time, go get your tickets. Go experience it for yourself. Go check it out, fathomevents.com. The Transformers 1986. There's no code or anything. This is just a free plug. Go check it out. We're going to
Yep.
move into our next section. We've got games, and we're focusing on a game that's on the PS4, the Xbox One, Switch, even on Steam. It's our Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, and it's only $19.99. What games are included in that, Jake?
Let's see. We have the original Final Fight. We have Captain Commando. We have the King of Dragons. We have Knights of the Round. We have Warriors of Fate. We have Armored Warriors, which is actually unavailable on console, and we have Battle Circuit, which was also unavailable on console. And it's actually kind of funny they did that recently with. Just a side note, I noticed a lot of bundles are doing things like that recently, where they have games that are unavailable on previous consoles. Because for the recent release of the SNES Classic, they had the Star Fox 2 game, which was unavailable for the regular Super Nintendo and just released on the Classic. So I'm just noticing a trend with the way that they release those things. And they, sorry, not they, I actually just finished a walkthrough of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite on the PS4, so you can find that on YouTube at youtube.com/thefakejake, or you can just go on YouTube and look at my page and find it. And one thing I want to say that we'll be doing is, even though the walkthrough is finished, we're going to be uploading a complete story version of the game in one video for easy viewing. So it's just going to be, it's going to be one intro and one closing with everything mashed together nicely. So I think that will be pretty fun to watch, for you guys that just have a free Saturday or something. And as poorly as that game was received, I still did enjoy it. There were parts, yes, they could have done much better, but
It
one
was
thing I
still
have to
fun
applaud
to
them
play.
for, it is definitely fun to play. It keeps the traditional Marvel vs. Capcom feel that the older Marvel vs. Capcom fans, or even the Street Fighter players like yourself, know. It keeps that general gist. And one thing I really do have to applaud them for is they really left the door open pretty wide for a sequel, because normally in the fighting games where they merge two universes, they often end it with, oh, the bad guys defeated, the universes are separated, everything is hunky dory. Well, this time the bad guy was destroyed, but the universes are not separated. So the heroes from Marvel and Capcom are still together. So what I'm thinking they could do there is two things. They could face like the bigger evil, which it could be Thanos or it could be Death, who was shown in the ending cutscene. And now that the Disney Fox thing is kind of going through its last phases, we could see the X-Men back, and that would be a pretty good way to wrap up the um, Marvel Capcom series with an ultimate, pardon the pun, last game.
I'm sure we will. I don't know if it'll wrap up the series, but I do know that the next game it'll have the X-Men back. It'll have possibly the Fantastic Four in there.
Which we've never had in a game, I believe.
Exactly. But now that the rights are falling back under the same place, that's something that's going to change. It's one of the things that hurt the Infinite game was not having the X-Men characters that everyone loved, and
They
even
did decent with what they were able to use.
they did. It made you try a few different people, so I liked that. I liked the game. It was still there, but I gotta admit, I did miss having Deadpool. Uh,
I missed having Wolverine. I missed having Akuma. It was definitely different, but it did give you some new characters to try. Like we were talking about earlier, for her movie, Captain Marvel was one of my favorite new characters, and I did enjoy that. Were there any, just out of curiosity, were there any standouts for you?
I don't know of any standouts. It was fun,
You
just
used
playing the game in
Gamora a bit of the
general.
time.
I used Gamora a little bit of the time, but I I I'm an old gamer. I still remember how to play Street Fighter 2, and I just merged that into any game that I play.
Even
So,
though, I will say this: last time we played Street Fighter 2, you had a little bit of difficulty against me.
yeah, we'll not get into that. So, and another thing here with our fighting games, just a little blurb: Dragon Ball Fighter Z. If you haven't played that game yet, it is moving over to the Switch this week. So it's already been out for the PS4 and for Xbox One, but it is out now on the Switch.
I
So
believe
if
it's
you're a
actually
Dragon Ball
releasing
fan,
the same day as the Transformers movie.
there we go. So you'll be able to check that out and give it a good play. All right. So we're going to get ready to wrap up here today. We'll make it a little bit shorter this week. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Four Corners Podcast.
And if you
And
guys like what you heard, you can tell all your friends about the show. We are found on Google, Apple, Stitcher, and YouTube by searching Four Corners. If you want to find me on any of these social media platforms, or just really any platform, you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/thefakejake, Facebook at facebook.com/thefakejake, Twitter at thefakejake2, Twitch at twitch.tv/thefakejake1. As I've said before, all these numbers and everything, it does matter, because marketing, when it comes to this type of thing, is a pain in the butt. You can ask anybody. Or if you just want to find all these links easier, you can just go to the website at www.thefakejake.com, and you can see all the links there, so you don't have to go directly into those apps to look for them. All the links will be right there, and we look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about these podcasts. So just, if you have any thoughts, drop them down in the comments, and if you're new to the stuff and you like what you see and you're thirsty for more, then just hit that little subscribe button.
Sure. Guys, we'd love it if you go through and review us on whatever platform that you're listening for. The best review that you can give, obviously, is what we're looking for, but, tell us what you'd like to see in some new episodes. We're thinking about maybe doing some watch alongs on Twitch or maybe some walkthroughs, just some different type of content to get a little bit more of it out there. And we'd love to hear what you guys would like to see.
And
So,
I'm actually looking to continue doing reactions as well because those have been getting a good bit of attention. So I'm looking forward to continue those. I've got some ideas as to what I'm going to do. Won't spill the beans on it just yet, but reactions was kind of a new thing for me. It was fun. I did enjoy it. It gave you guys a chance to see my initial response to things, and I think that was part of the beauty of it, honestly, which is you guys seeing how I took things and then us just getting to talk about it.
that's right. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining this week. We look forward to seeing you next week on the Four Corners Podcast. I am Clam.
And I'm the fake Jake.
Have a great week.